Next.
I'll go next. So, I'm feeling a bit of frustration and rage, and I feel like I would it would be best utilized through my throat chakra. I can feel congestion here. I've been on a detoxing protocol over the last 2 months, and there's just a lot of buildup. So I just need to
Thank you.
get
Thank
it
you.
out.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what's already been said and just wanting that vocal range, clearing the block, having that full liberation in my voice, and yeah, greater expression vocally.
Thank you. Thank you.
And also, I'm going to be moving, so I might be coming in and out on video. So I'll
Understood.
be streaming as much as
Understood.
possible.
Thank you, Ashley. Thanks for being here.
I do a lot of speaking on YouTube and content. I want to speak on stages. But one area I know I can improve in is my tonality. I tend to be very monotones. So I know I can improve in that area. So that's my.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I went ahead and sat myself down because I want to talk about concepts based on what you all just shared. I want to start with a couple fundamental concepts. Especially because several of you, most of you, this is your first time on the call. So I haven't had this opportunity before. All right.
I'm like,
There we go. I got you muted, Miss Katie. I know you'll work it out. You'll work out what you need to do. Um, the voice starts with intention, right? It's an expression of our energy that we're putting into the world through a physical mechanism, a biological physical mechanism. Understanding that our voice is that expression of our spirit and it has to come through this physical body, and the physical body has its own stuff, right, that we've accumulated. It has its own habits. It works, but most of us were never taught anything about how to breathe, how to speak, how to sing, how to stand. I mean, we simply weren't taught things that came naturally. And for many of us, that comes along with habits that function but don't necessarily function healthfully. And if there's anything that neuroscience and science in general is teaching us these days, it's this connection between our brain, our energy, and our body, and how they're all interconnected. So in fact, our physical habits inform our energy habits, including our mental habits, but also our emotions, and vice versa. So these experiences that you're having are, in that sense, predictable. It's, of course, it makes sense that I'm having this experience, this expression, because it started energetically or it started physically, and they interact and reinforce one another. Does that make sense? I hope that gives you some hope, right? So that's what a lot of the exercises and stuff that we do, the somatic things, they're about breaking energy habits and allowing us to create a new experience. And it feels different, right? So establish that. The entire body is the instrument of your voice. Everything that we do as humans impacts our instrument, right? It's because it's a living instrument. It's the one living instrument. A pianist can go out the night before a concert and get snockered. And as long as their brain can function, the piano itself doesn't care. When the pianist goes out to do whatever they do, it doesn't impact the instrument. It may impact their function and their ability to think clearly and play the instrument, but in a human case, everything. So, for Jimmy, becoming a public speaker, he thankfully already has this very developed awareness of his body because he's an athlete, and that kinesthetic understanding already exists. So for Jimmy, it's going to be partly about the voice, but Jimmy, in your case, it's going to be a lot about that freedom to connect more dynamically with your thoughts and your energy, and allowing that creativity to be expressed physically. So for the masculine, and for some of us who have felt unsafe in our expression, so we've held back, right? We retreat. It's not safe to speak. It's not safe to speak fluidly, artistically, because expression is not safe. That totally makes sense. And so what do? We either collapse our creative expression from our mind and energy perspective, or we collapse physically and we tighten around our throat. Does that make sense? Another thing that can happen is, as children, we have access to our whole voice because we're physically more flexible. And then we go through puberty and the body changes. The musculature changes. The cartilages change. We go through puberty and it has physical changes. And if we don't have a safe teacher to help us understand how to use our new instrument, we can get stuck in having access to only parts of our instrument because our instrument has changed. And so again, it makes sense that we have some frustration because I ought to be able to have access to all the high parts of my voice, but that's changed now. And I have to learn new ways. So it's there, but this is the thing about the voice overall. It's about coordination much more than effort. It's about releasing, relaxing, putting the effort in the appropriate places, which is in the body, not in the voice, not in the throat. The flow of energy, the flow of breath, and the ease through the literal mechanism, but understanding this whole thing is the instrument. Good. And learning new ways. It's there. And you are a particular physical manifestation of your spirit. And with that comes a specific instrument physically. So I'm about teaching context for freedom and exploring that. Cool. I know Christina's energy is shifting just in this moment, and I'm feeling that, because if we if we come with this expectation of there's something wrong with me, and I have to fix it, bad me, then we can't move forward. We have to understand, no, we're perfect. It makes sense. And can we experience and create greater freedom and flexibility for ourselves? Yeah. Miss Katie, I'd like to speak to your concerns specifically, and this impacts all of us as well. Jimmy, especially, you're wanting to be able to modulate more, that greater freedom, understanding the brain, the voice is energy, it's energetic, and it happens in the mind. So if for any reason, including lack of encouragement, lack of models, our physical body did not develop the neurology, the neurological synapses between our ears, which pick up the cilia and the eardrums, the hairs on the eardrums transfer sound into energy, and that energy becomes impulses that go to the brain. The brain then calculates that and then creates an image of the desired sound, the desired expression, and that desired expression then gets sent back to the body with this is how you match the pitch. And if any point in the developmental process as a child that wasn't encouraged or developed, then a person can have difficulty in matching pitch or creatively modulating their voice. The good news is neuroplasticity. Just because those patterns, those highways weren't developed as children does not mean they cannot be developed now. And I believe understanding this again allows us space to give grace. Okay? So the voice, the expression comes from clarity in the mind and those neurological pathways for the brain to be clear in its picture, and then for the body to understand, the brain and the body to understand how to work together as a team. We're a team, and we need to have clear thoughts, and the body has to learn how to interpret that and give it, express it, respond to what the brain, the energy, the spirit is asking for. Yeah? Let's take a breath, y'all, because I know that was just a lot. You know, kind of shake that out, shake that energy in, let it be loose. You can come back to that. I just dumped a lot of passion at you. And, but I want to be sure that I've been clear on these things for you. Okay? Mechanics. Part of why all of this context is important is because our whole body creates the projection of the energy into the world around us, translates the energy into the physical mechanics that express it, that allow it to come out and be materialized. The vocal cords themselves, if you'll look at the back of your hand, if you'll look at your pinky fingernail, for many of us, that represents, well, that is the approximate size of your vocal cords. The actual muscles that are over the windpipe that actually flow in the air and shape the air, the energy that is your voice. That size. They need as much support and flexibility and freedom and clarity from the brain and support from the breath and the rest of the body as possible. That's why when the throat is tight, they can't move. Because they've got a tongue muscle that goes all the way back down in here. They've got the walls of the throat that shapes the way that the air can move. They, the lips, the jaw, all of the upper chest, all of those muscles like attach in here somewhere. So this is what we're learning to care for and to be more gentle with. And that's why when our body is uptight, our voice is going to be uptight. Establishing realistic expectations, grace, love, compassion for this process of unlearning. All of those things that we've done to protect ourselves. Our voice is only this big. The muscles that flow in the air are only this big. They do big work for us. Yeah. So let's learn how to hold ourselves with grace and compassion, recognizing that when we do shoulder shrugs, we're releasing tension around our neck that allows our voice to be more free. All of these things that we do that also reset our nervous system, particularly the things that reset the vagus nerve or tone the vagus nerve, are all very, very helpful because they bring our body to neutral. And now the vocal muscles have a chance to be flexible. Okay? So seriously, y'all, when you're feeling like your voice isn't coming out, release some of the systems around. Use whatever tools you have to release this upper body. Okay? So far, so good? Yeah? Now I got to give you some mechanics. Okay, so we've got great theory, great understanding going on here. And now what? I teach for singers. That's my training. I'm not a speech therapist. They have a different set of tools for teaching. Okay? So I come from a very unique place. Maybe not as free as I'm becoming. I'm becoming more free, and I'm learning new ways that are beyond my rather rigid and strict teaching that was not particularly encouraging because it focused on not making mistakes more than it did focus on freedom, but there was a lot of perfectionism that was reinforced in my training, and that's not my goal. My goal is to give you basics and more freedom, especially working as a group, right? Okay. Some of you are limited physically in your space right now, but if you're in such a space to stand, I'm going to go over the breath that we use to get the most air possible into the lungs. So the lungs are here. The diaphragm is here along the edge of the ribs, and the bottom of the lungs are attached to the diaphragm. So the rib cage can flex a little bit all the way around. And that gives a little bit more room for the lungs to have more air. But most of the air can come into the lungs when we draw the diaphragm down, and we've got to get the guts, the viscera, out of the way as well. So that's why we talk about tummy breaths. The breath doesn't actually go to the tummy, it goes into the lungs, but the tummy gets out of the way. The guts get out of the way, and that naturally brings more air into the lungs. So these muscles are nice and big, right? Compared to the throat, the voice muscles in the throat. So this is how we want to control how much air comes through the voice as much as possible. All right? So we've got this breath that comes down here and it goes. Feels pretty good. Do you notice how the upper body stays still? I used to get most of my students would think this is a big breath. But that's not a big breath. It just lifts the lungs up in the whole rib cage, right? The deep breath is this one. So now take a deep breath in, and this time pause, but hold the breath with the belly, not with the throat, because remember, we want to keep the throat relaxed so that the muscles in the throat can move easily. So we take the breath in, and then let's blow the breath out slowly. And now we're going to hum without closing the throat, right? The muscles will start coming into the air, but we want to just and as much as possible manage the breath from here and let it flow easily through the throat. We're all familiar with doing these kinds of exercise, right? Let's take the hum and let's now turn that into a who. By the way, I'm trying a new feature of Zoom. They have developed a live performance audio, so theoretically, we can all do the same things at the same time. If you want to turn your microphone on while we do this, you're welcome to. If you would prefer not to, that is also very, very fine. All right, so we're going to do a who, and here in a little bit, we're going to do another exercise. We're going to start to do patterns. Mindfulness. This is not so much about the quality of the voice, the phonation, as much as it is about, except for the freedom of the phonation, we're managing the breath from our body, not from our throat. Breath in.
Okay.
Take another breath when you need one. Great. Great, you guys. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to put your hands on your belly. And I want to draw your attention to this thing that happens. In the abdominal muscles, we have, among others, but we have inner and outer intercostal. Well, that's our ribs. But we have two sets of muscles. And one is active when we inhale, and one is active when we exhale. But they also work as a team. So what happens is when we inhale, the one set of muscles relaxes and the other contracts. And then on the exhale, we need them both to be active so that there's some resistance, so that we don't just go breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, but we actually want to breathe in with little resistance and then with slight resistance or a little more as we develop it, so that there's resistance in the abdominal wall, and that's support. That may be what you hear as vocal support. I'm supporting the voice with the breath. It's the air being under the vocal cords at the right pressure. There's a lot of Goldilocks stuff that happens in singing, y'all. And I'm giving you a lot of things to think about, but also not to overthink it, but just so you have a sense of what's happening, physically speaking, in your body. Okay, so we take the breath in, and that part's easy. And then the muscles, both sets of muscles engage, because they're going to resist a little bit, even as I let them relax and let the air come out. So let's just have an awareness of that. Let's go back to our who. Ooh, that's going to try to see if you can make it on that pitch. And if you choose one of your own, that's fine as well. Here we go. We're going to breathe in and... Do you feel your body beginning to make the connection between the breath and the voice? Because,
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Many of us just use our voice without breathing, without having a sense of connectivity to the air that's flowing through our throat. You feel that? Nods are good. Beautiful. Let's put a couple more tones to it, okay? Let's go, and we're going to use what I call a motorboat. Anybody ever do that when you were a kid? I love this because it helps me know if I'm holding anything in tension. It also helps me know if I'm actually moving the air, but it's really fun and, you know, pretty low key, and it'll start to vibrate your nose. So let's actually do that without any particular concern about the tones. Start in your middle, the part of your voice that feels most comfortable, and then kind of let it go up a little bit higher, okay? And just play with it. We're going to do this for like 2 minutes, okay? Ish.
Okay.
Ready? And use all of that breath. Push the air from your tummy.
That's hard.
It's hard? I love it. Holding space for you. Beautiful. Let's take a breath in and out. Would you like to share what you're experiencing?
Me?
Sure.
A shortness of voice as I do the expression, the motorboating, more than when I just try to vocal and trying to connect that breath pushing the voice.
Okay.
It's just a difficult connection.
Would you demonstrate one for me, Katie? Let me see what I can observe.
That was probably the best one.
Okay. You want to do another one for me?
Oh, see, I'm pulling the shoulders out.
It's okay.
See it burps out
Okay.
there.
Okay. So it may be that you're moving more air than the voice can actually handle.
Okay.
And the challenge being, remember, the understanding, right? The understanding of the body, of how to manage and create what's being asked of it. It's a physical, muscular learning. Okay, you want to try one more?
Yeah,
Okay.
Peter's out.
Okay. So if it bubbles like that, but there's freedom, there's a lack of tension, then it's probably you're just pushing a little more air than you actually need to. Okay? So being sure that you've got that resistance. So yes, you're pushing the breath out, but yes, the abdominal wall is also active. It's just active so that there's this teamwork, gentle resistance. So it's energized, but it's also managed. Okay. And Katie, what I would love to reflect to you is I don't hear tightness in your throat. So very good on that.
Thank you.
That is a significant objective as you're learning, as your body is learning what this is, what this balance is.
That feels all relaxed. It feels like I'm tense here.
Which isn't a bad thing. Again, it's just understanding it. And one of the challenges, y'all, is it's so internal and energetic. Right? So that it can be almost a process of trial and error. Well, it is for both the teacher and the student. It's a process of trial and error to translate the knowledge from one to the next. So that grace. Thank you, Katie, for giving both of us grace in your process. Thank you. I love this exercise also. It shows us, demonstrates what our typical patterns are. So I think, Katie, what I'm hearing is just that body awareness of the breath, the motion of the breath, and keeping just the Goldilocks, the right amount of pressure between the lips, and enjoying the process. If you don't enjoy the process, let it go and do something else for a while, because just play with it. Okay. Miss Christina, did you have something you would like to share and be witnessed in?
I did feel a difference in my abdomen.
Yeah.
The activation of those walls, moving that breath through.
Yeah.
In the practice, I felt very relaxed,
Good.
actually playful in a way. I laughed at certain moments. But after just like resting in my body, I could feel the tension in my jaw and my neck.
Okay.
That was something to be seen. And also blowing out the air at the end of the breath. My lips kind of stalled, like the muscular activation just ended, and air just wanted to come out.
Lovely. I'm going to make an educated guess as to why.
Yeah,
Because
that's up to you.
the body tensed up, and then in that little bit of tension, that's what I love about this exercise, because it shows us so much of what's going on, like unconsciously. Because a slight tightening of any of these parts can make it not possible for the lips to vibrate. And I love this because it allows for self-reflection, right? Just awareness. Being that loving coach, the gentle coach, Jimmy. I'm sure you were a gentle coach, but the coach that says you can do it, make the observation. That's all it is. Make the observation and say, huh, isn't that interesting? What can we do to improve it? What can we do to bring it to a different state of being? And sometimes it's just a one-time fluke, and sometimes it's a pattern, right? So that awareness. This other thing just popped into my mind, which is it may be an expectation for it to extend longer than it actually is able to. So that there becomes this uncertainty about, am I done or not? Does that make sense? So that the air can flow to the end, and then there needs to be an end, and there is an end. And so there's this thing about being clear about when I'm complete, so that I can redirect my energy to the next thing, and not keep trying to do the thing that's complete. I don't know. I just felt like that was a life thing that just popped right there. So, and I don't know who it was for. It could very well be for me. And thank you. Yeah. So, y'all, let's, I want to give one more practical idea that's going to help those of you that have this tightness in your throat, need more freedom. I want you to become aware of the soft palate. When we yawn, the soft palate, which is at the back of the roof of the mouth. The front of the roof of the mouth, behind the teeth, is the hard palate. It goes to the mid, and then the soft palate is just muscles at the back of the roof of the mouth. When we yawn, that raises up. When we yawn, ideally also the walls of the throat expand open. Not only does this create this big tunnel for the air to move easily into the lungs without restriction, but it also makes for more resonant space for the voice, and just essentially more freedom for all of the moving parts. The other thing that I've learned in the last 5 years, is that it's also part of resetting the vagal nerve. So it engages the parasympathetic nervous system. So all of this vibration, all of this stretching, particularly of raising the soft palate, is part of what makes singing with this kind of posture so soothing for the body, because it literally resets the nervous system. All of the humming, particularly if we can hum with this stretch. If you can imagine, you can't just imagine, but you have to actually feel the yawn. Feel what it feels to yawn. Very interesting, like so many, you can't just think about it. You can't just think about what it feels like. You have to actually engage in the feeling. I'm like, yeah, this is living the way that I sing. You have to actually feel it. You can't just imagine it, right? This is Manifestation 101. So, can we breathe through a yawny space and let the air come in and out, which is kind of what I'm sillily demonstrating right now. But you've muted yourselves again. Give it a try. Speak in your opera voice. It's not an opera voice, it's just this voice that has this big open space, and it's maybe causing you to actually yawn and actually reset, because we got mirror neurons going on here. We got all kinds of things to open up that space. Breathe in through that space. More flexibility, Jimmy. Being silly is a part of that. I know you're doing that. Oh. To have greater range of potential expression with freedom and flexibility. Now, yeah, we got some jaw work going on there with Miss Katie. She's relaxing the jaw. All of this is helping these muscles, which are usually they're just like tight. They're controlling. We're just trying to manage life, y'all. You know, and it gets caught in these patterns of being tight. The jaw, the tongue, the lips, the face, the throat. And all of those things keep us from full ease of expression with our voice. I would like for you to practice breathing in and exhaling the breath through an open space, which includes feeling like a yawn. Be aware, the voice, the air can move without any closure of anything. In and out. Keep it open, keep the throat open, relaxed, relax the lips, relax the tongue. See if you don't have to grab for the air. Just let the air just come in and out. There's no grabbing, no tension, no tightness. Just ease. The breath is moving in. And out. And now, let's see if we can go. Okay.
So what's that?
The mic is breaking in and out, so I'm getting an incomplete picture. And what I hear, I think, is vocal fry, Katie. So let's see if we can release the tongue some more, and the jaw. Put your fingers in the hinge of your jaw, right in front of your ear. That hinge, so when we open, they drop in. Tongue forward. Again. Can you be a little bit more gentle with the onset of the air? Allow the air to flow and then the vocal cords to relax into the breath.
Oh.
Again, start with an H sound.
That was amazing.
Fabulous.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Nice. Allowing the voice to relax, pushing it less.
Oh.
Start with that ha, ha, a gentle ha sound.
Oh.
Yes. And then once you start the breath, don't require more sound from the voice. Allow it to flow.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Again. Can you do it again for me one more time?
I hate hearing myself in the background. Oh.
That one I think didn't feel quite so easy, Katie.
Oh.
There you go. Yes. So it's that coordination of just enough and not too much. Does that make sense? Did I freeze? Okay.
Oh.
So that ease, and if for a while
Oh.
there, for a while you may want to also practice just the exhalation of the breath for gentleness and consistency. So just first, not even with any phonation at all, just for ease, and then without bumps, confirming that I'm not having bumps of air come out. Anybody else want to demonstrate what they have going on? Katie, did that feel better? Did that feel like progress? Fantastic. Yay, 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 yay. Anybody else? What you got, Miss Christina?
I have to keep my fingers here for some reason because my jaw wants to move in and out. It like unhinges and then hinges back. But I don't do this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
it's very strange.
And
It's
okay. Well, because it's again, this is another subtle thing. It doesn't take a lot of shift to engage the muscles. And I love this because if we do have to set the intention to open and disengage the muscles. And this helps us do that. Because in that place, it's almost impossible for the jaw to stay engaged, or the tongue for that matter. So it's a wonderful tool. Do you all have specific questions at this point about what we've covered, or how you can take it to the next step, or just to remember it for yourself to be able to practice? And then
I think you gave great instruction. It's been very easy to employ the exercises in a way that I can carry with me and keep practicing. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome, 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 welcome. I love to end a session with hearing from those of you who can, of what you're taking away and what you learned. It's for reinforcement for yourself and reminders for the rest of us. And for me also to help me see if I'm on point and how I'm helping you. We've got just a couple minutes before we call it an hour, and Anybody else like to share?
For me, big takeaway was about relaxing the throat. I'm naturally pretty wound up and tight. I'm not a flexible person.
Okay.
So I'm used to forcing my way through things, even in sports, why I was injured so much. So that's something that I can really be mindful about and work on. And I think it'll help me a lot.
Fabulous. Thank you for that, Jimmy. And I that all makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me. Thank you. Thanks for being here too. Are you out on
Thank
the
you.
West Coast now? Nowadays, physically right now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Where home is on the West Coast for you, right? California?
No, I'm in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Miss Christina, what are you taking?
Many things, but really just being more intentional and understanding that the way in which I was using my breath and my mechanics and this whole system, it wasn't wrong, but there's more to understand and there's more information that my body's giving to me. So thank you for the tools and techniques because I'm learning more about myself and my capacity.
Fantastic. I'd like to
Thank
give
you.
you all one more little hint. When you're feeling like your voice isn't coming out well or like you're tight, do some jaw motion exercises. Just front and back. I mean, side to side. Just stretches. Being sure you're getting the tongue involved in that process. Just and any vagal nerve exercises you can do are going to be helpful too. Awesome. Cool. Oh, you guys, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to give you something that I've worked on in my life and to see it make a difference for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you've inspired me to do this with painting.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited to hear that you're going to go paint spirals, especially after yesterday. I was like, oh, yeah. And after the meditation we did, several weeks ago, the spiral.
Yep. And today is the triple spiral. So I'm like, could it be any better?
Oh my gosh, Katie, you're going to need to bring these things to us.
I will.
Okay, you all.
All right. I'm gonna scoot so I can get a bathroom break.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Love you, Sheila. Thank you.
Thank you.